Yo, what up, everybody? Welcome to another quarantine edition of Spectator Sporting. We are talking about the second best draft from 2000 to 2009. And to help us talk about it, we got, once again, Mr. Chevo, Kevin Rax in the building. What up, Chevo?
Yeah, man, I appreciate y'all having me on.
Yes, sir. Adi Wally, what's happening, bro?
Nothing much, man. Happy to be here.
Man, that's what's up. You know, the last episode we talked about the worst draft, and we all agree. We might have different opinions about this one, though, so let's find out. So I'm going to start with you, Chevo, the man of the hour. What is the second best draft class from 2000 to 2009?
Well, looking over the 2000s, I was looking at different draft classes and trying to figure out which one of them I thought was the best, which one of them produced the best player, the best draft pick, how many All-Stars and things like that. And I was kind of torn between my two favorite ones was 2007 and then it was 2008. 2007 I thought about because that was the draft with KD. And right now he's one of the probably top three players in the league when he's not injured. But I ultimately had to go ahead and go with 2008. So you can call me a homer if you want, but in the background, Roach, that was when the man D Rose came out, and that draft 2008 produced 7 All-Stars. The youngest MVP. I believe Russell Westbrook was also in that draft, and then Rose, winning Rookie of the Year. And then just thinking about it, like he was the one that actually set the Bulls up to be a contender for the Miami Heat, in which we thought we were going to get a championship prior to him getting an injury. So he kept the Bulls relevant, brought them back to prominence. Got to go with the 2008 draft. Like I said, that draft has 7 All-Stars in it. So
absolutely, that was a really good draft. Adi Wally, what was the second best draft from 2000 to 2009?
Well, yeah, we know 2003 is the best draft of the decade of the 2000s, but to me, it was really close between 2008 and 2009. So get down, the player who had the best career in the 2008 class is the triple-double man, former MVP Russell Westbrook, compared to the number one guy in the 2009 class, the two-time MVP and 3-time NBA champion Steph Curry. Now, the player who had the second best career in the 2008 class goes to the youngest MVP of all time. You mentioned him, Derrick Rose, compared to the number 2 guy in the 2009 class, former MVP James Harden. And I give the edge to Harden there. I give the edge to the beard simply because he avoided that devastating injury like Derrick Rose had that tragic injury in the 2012 playoffs. And so I'm going to skip the third best player in each draft, and I'm going to come back to it. But the fourth best player in the 2008 class is either Brook Lopez or DeAndre Jordan. You take your pick. Both those guys combined for 2 All-Star appearances compared to the number 4 guy in the 2009 draft, DeMar DeRozan, who doubled that with 4 All-Star appearances. And back to the number 3 guy in 2008, Kevin Love, with his 3 All-NBA selections compared to Blake Griffin in 2009, the third best guy. He has 6 All-NBA selections. So I'm going with 2009 again, and that's one of the reasons why I'm going with 2009 as the second best draft in the 2000s.
Both of y'all make good arguments. 2009 draft is very close. I mean, I'm between 2008 and 2009. If you want to say as far as just accomplishments, you'll go with 2009 because of Steph Curry. Steph Curry, 2-time MVP, the only unanimous MVP in NBA history. James Harden, who's just putting up astronomical numbers, just off the charts. But I'm going to go with 2008, and not because of the top 4 players, because of the complete draft. I mean, you find players like DeAndre Jordan in the second round. It was just, this draft was very deep, and a lot of productive players that are still playing to this day. You talk about players like Eric Gordon. You talk about players like Brook Lopez. So it's just a lot. And now, like Chevo mentioned, Derrick Rose, for him to come into the league and be Rookie of the Year, then make the All-Star team, and then win MVP, and people do not talk about this enough. You know who Derrick Rose was trying to beat? The Miami Heat, with LeBron James, Dwayne Wade, and Chris Bosh at the top of their powers. Where you think LeBron is good now, which he is. In 2011, LeBron was the most unstoppable force in the NBA by far, and that's who Derrick Rose was trying to be. So it's 2009 was a very, very good draft, but I'm gonna have to go with 2008 because I just feel like from top to bottom. Now, if you want to say top heavy, you might got an argument for 2009, but as a complete draft, first round, second round, I have to go with 2008. Adi, you look like you want to say something today.
Well, you know what? Hey, look, 2009 was a deep draft, bro. I mean, you got Ricky Rubio. Ricky Rubio right now, he's third in the NBA in assists per game right now as we speak. You got Drew Holiday. He was an all-star. You got Jeff Teague. He was all-star. Brandon Jennings and Tyreke Evans had a good 5-6 years in the league before they got hurt. You want to talk about second-round picks in the 2009 draft? You got Pat Beverly. You got Danny Green. D. Mills. All right, those are some second-round picks. 2009 was a deep draft, man.
It was. I just feel like 2008 was a little deeper. Chevel, you want to get in on this?
Yeah, like Roach mentioned, it was also some other players in that 2008 draft that we left out. Roy Hibbert was a good center in Indiana before, ultimately he was injured. You got, Courtney Lee, who had a pretty good career, known as a defender and able to score. You had George Hill in that draft, Serge Ibaka, and I think I give credit to like what Roach said about it being a complete draft. I think the upside, and I tend to give, in reference to what Adi was saying, I know you gave the edge to the beard and all, but I feel like those players like Rose kind of came in automatically and just started killing right away. When you look at a lot of those players, it's like almost the argument over like peak versus longevity, because with Harden, it took a while, for him to get to where, like you said, he's putting up those numbers. Even with Steph Curry, it took a while for him to get up to the numbers that he's putting up now and to win those championships. And then you got Kevin Love, who also, I think we spoke about that before. I gave him the edge over Blake Griffin, who you mentioned, because Kevin Love is a champion. He was a double-double machine, a perennial double-double player before taking a backseat, going with LeBron and changing his offense. Compared to Blake Griffin, I think Blake Griffin wowed us with a lot of dunks, winning the dunk contest and things like that. But ultimately, he's always injured. He wasn't able to win. He just hasn't able to win a championship or go really far in the playoffs. And with the injuries, I had to give the edge to Kevin Love. So that's why I'm in agreement with Roach about 2008. But I do get your point. There is that 2009. You actually swayed me, because at first I was looking at 2007, looking at the top of the draft with Kevin Garnett. I'm sorry, not Kevin Garnett. With Kevin Durant being like the greatest player in that draft, but kind of sold me on 2009. So that would maybe be my second one, but I'm still going with 2000.
I got another problem I get with the 2008 class is they had a couple of overhyped guys that didn't live up to expectations. All right, so draft night of the 2008 draft on draft night, the Grizzlies, they traded number 5 pick Kevin Love, Mike Miller, and a couple of other dudes to the Timberwolves for old Antoine Walker, a couple of other guys, and a number 3 pick from USC, the super hyped OJ Mayo. This guy, he did not live up to expectations, and he was slammed with a 2-year ban from the NBA in 2016 for violating the league's anti-drug policy, all right? And then you got the number 2 pick from Kansas State, Michael Beasley to Miami. He got off to a solid start to his career, but averaging 14 points a game in the first 2 years. Then he was traded to the Timberwolves, averaging 19 a game. But after that, after injuring his foot and getting arrested for 16 grams of marijuana, he fell off. All right, he just fell off the map, and he didn't. So you got those top 3 picks, number 2 pick, number 3 pick, battling with drugs and things like this, and not living up to their potential. Didn't have that work ethic like Derrick Rose, and unfortunately he got hurt. And so, that's another reason why I just couldn't go with 2008.
Yeah, but see, that shows you how deep the 2008 draft really was, because despite those players didn't pan out like we thought they were, this is still the second. They still have the most successful players in the NBA going right now. So that shows you how deep of draft that it really was. That even with OJ Mayo, who had a couple decent years, I'm not going to say OJ Mayo was a bust, Did he become what everybody thought he was? No, but he was still, he had a couple good years with Dallas and Memphis until he got into that altercation with Tony Allen on the plane. That's a whole different story. But so he had some solid years. Now Michael Beasley, a lot of people thought the Bulls was actually going to take Michael Beasley. I agree with you on Michael. He definitely didn't turn out to be the player that everybody thought it was. But once again, when I say 2008 is the best draft, I'm not talking about the first five picks, the first-time picks. I'm talking about 1 through, how many picks is it? 64? 1 through 60
picks.
60 picks. I'm talking about 1 through 60. That is a better draft. And 2009 is good. You make very, very great points about 2009. But I got to go with 2008.
Don't forget about Taj Gibson, number 26 pick to the Bulls in 2009, and Darren Collison to the Hornets at number 21 pick.
I mean, both was good drafts. I mean, Danilo Gallinari is a solid player.
Mm-hmm.
And we talked about Eric Gordon, 6th man of the year. Both drafts are good, but if I have the favorite, I got to go 2008. So, Chevel, let's start with you on this. You brought it up in your argument beginning. 2007 draft. You wanted to say 2007. You said you thought that was a second before Adi swayed you. What did you like about the 2007 draft?
Well, I didn't think it was the second best. It was my runner-up. I took 2008 first, but then my runner-up was 2007. And I typically look towards the top of the draft, and I just automatically, I was gravitated towards Kevin Durant, being that he's a great player right now. Like I said, I think he's probably top 3 in the league, besides maybe top 4, besides Kawhi, LeBron, and Giannis. So other than that, that was still a solid draft. I mean, Greg Oden was the big bust, with injuries, but you had players like Al Horford, Mike Conley, Jeff Green had some good years before. He had some injuries that slowed him down. A few different players that came out of that draft, and so that's what kind of drew me to it. And then Wilson Chandler, I guess I had overlooked 2009, and so I guess that would be if we were ranking them second, third, and fourth, I probably would put 8, 9, and then go 7 after that, maybe.
Absolutely. Adi, what's your thoughts on the 2007 draft?
Well, yeah, you know what? The 2007 draft was very interesting. It had a couple of prospects who were traded for superstars that ended up helping their new teams get NBA championships. You got the steal of the entire 2007 draft, Marc Gasol. Marc Gasol, he was drafted by the Los Angeles Lakers, and then they traded him along with 2 first-round picks, Kwame Brown, and a couple other guys to the Grizzlies for his brother, Pau Gasol, and to make sure Kobe can finally win a championship without Shaq. He had to prove to the world that he can win a ring without Shaq. That doesn't without Pau Gasol. They won back-to-back 2009 and 2010, and then you got the number 5 pick. Kevo mentioned him. The Boston Celtics drafted Jeff Green with the number 5 pick, but then traded him along with Wally Zerviak and Delonte West to the Supersonics for Jesus Shuttlesworth, okay, and Glenn Big Baby Davis, who was a second-round pick in the 2007 draft. So the Celtics later on made that trade for KG, the big ticket, to join Paul Pierce to form the Big Three and go ahead and beat the Lakers in the 2008 NBA Finals. But I can't go with the 2007 draft as a top 3 draft in the 2000s because of guys like number 6 overall pick, John Leon from China.
I'm surprised you could say that name. That's pretty good. I did not want to say that name.
Yeah, the dude, they picked from China. The Milwaukee Bucks picked that guy. And the thing is, they thought they was getting a 19-year-old kid, 7 foot tall, small forward with loads of potential. But come to find out, China lied. He was 22 years old, okay? And the Milwaukee Bucks, they was pissed off after his rookie year. They went ahead and traded him to the Nets. He ended up being bad. And so then you get the number 8 pick, another draft lottery bust, Brandon Wright from North Carolina. The Bobcats drafted him, then traded him on draft night to the Warriors for Jason Richardson that was a blunder of a trade by Golden State. And then you got the number 10 pick, Spencer Hawes, to the Sacramento Kings. I mean, just too many misses in the top 10 in 2007. And Greg Oden, the number 1 overall pick, he was a major bust. So, no, I can't go with 2007.
Well, 2007, Shovel brought up, like, if we want to talk about out of all the drafts in 2000s, you can argue I don't know, top 3 of all the drafts in the 2000s, Kevin Durant is probably on that list. You got LeBron James, 2003, Kevin Durant, and whoever. I mean, there's other arguments out there. Maybe Steph Curry, James
D-Wade, you know.
Yeah, D-Wade, but Kevin Durant is arguably the top 3 player that came in the 2000s.
Yeah.
So getting him alone and being that he's the best player still going right now. I mean, he's hurt right now, but when he's healthy, he's shown that he's been the best player in the league for like the last few years. So there's no question about that. But I'm with you out. It had too many misses, even though it had some nice players. Mike Conley came out of there. Corey Brewer had a long career. He was a nice defensive player. He was always a spark off the bench. But then you have players like you brought up, Spencer Hawes. And the player that I thought was going to be good in the NBA but didn't work out for him, who got drafted by the Atlanta Hawks, where he got traded from Indiana, was A.C. Law. I thought A.C. Law would be a good player in the league, but it turned out, for whatever reason, I don't know what happened in Atlanta. It just didn't work out for him. I'm surprised none of you guys brought up Swaggy P.
Yeah, Swaggy P with the Wizards, 16 overall pick with the Washington Wizards. Also, surprised y'all didn't bring up Joakim Noah with the number 9 pick.
Well, that was my next person. That was Joakim. Now let's argue about this. In this draft, what is Joakim Noah ranked? Just in the 2007 draft, after watching everything, what is he ranking these drafts?
He number 5.
So I just want to say this real quick. Swaggy P is probably more known for D'Angelo Russell snitching on him in his game on the court. with Iggy Azalea. And I will admit, I will eat crow. I was upset when we drafted Joakim Noah because I felt like they were drafting a similar player to someone we already. I don't know if it was.
I think it was Ben. You talking about Ben Wallace or Tyrese Thomas?
I think it was Tyrese Thomas. He was drafting a similar player to the way his game was, which was an energy player, a rebounder, and I felt like they should have got somebody else. But in actuality, he ended up being better than Tyrese Thomas and better than I expected, and grew on me and being a good player and serviceable player for the Bulls. So I got to eat crow on that one. So I props to Noah for being a contributor to the Bulls.
Yeah.
So if we drafted 2007, where would Joakim Noah go?
He probably go number 6 after, you got Durant, Al Horford, Mike Conley, Marc Gasol, Jeff Green. He probably go after Jeff Green at number 6.
Oh, yeah. He would have definitely took him over your guy, Yee. How you pronounce his name, right?
Yeah, Jan Leon.
Yeah.
Jan Leon from China.
I can't say that, but I can say Antetokounmpo. So I'm one of the few people that can pronounce that.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, you had a couple other players. You remember Aaron Brooks had a solid career. He was just too small.
He was also a Bull.
Carl Landry. Remember Carl Landry?
Mm-hmm.
He used to play for the Houston Rockets. He was solid.
I like Marco Bellinelli.
Marco Bellinelli, who's still playing with the Spurs right now. He can shoot. He played with the Bulls a couple years.
Yeah, with Nate Robinson and Marco Bellinelli. Yeah, that was a nice little squad.
Yeah, when they beat the Nets in the first round. So I mean, it wasn't a terrible draft. 2007 was a good draft. I say it was a good draft. It wasn't like it didn't have as many splashes as 2008 and 2009 had. But the one thing they do have is Kevin Durant, and that's one thing that you can take away from that draft is Kevin.
Feel sorry for the Blazers.
That's two big men. Two big men they went after and both got hurt. I don't think the Blazers ever gonna take a center in the draft again.
You talking about the one that they
Sam
took
Bowie.
over Jordan? That's what I was gonna say. Sam Bowie. I couldn't think of his name, and then Greg Oden.
To be fair, I'm gonna be honest. They just got hurt. Sam Bowie was a killer in college, and Greg Oden was a killer too. So it's unfortunate.
The Blazers got bad luck because they also drafted Brandon Roy, who got injured.
Yeah. At least Brandon Roy had a few good years where he got to show out and you got to see what he can do. We didn't even get to see Oden. We didn't even get to see Sam Bowie really. So at least Brandon Roy got to play a little bit. He had a.
I want to say thank you though to all the Blazers staff, management, everybody. Thank you for not picking Michael Jordan. Thank you.